Are you looking to make your next event sizzle? Then you want to get in touch with Lee Entertainment. Mark Lee, the founder of Lee Entertainment, has worked with such notable festivals as the Art of Cool, the National Black Theater Festival, the Bull Durham Blues Festival, and the Durham Centerfest, as well as the Festival of the Eno. And it definitely can provide you with some great entertainers as well as help you make your event sizzle if you're looking forward to trying to have an event in your town. Mark Lee is willing to travel anywhere in this country to make your event sizzle and has entertainers that are also willing to travel as well. So if you're looking for quality entertainment, definitely get in touch at bluesradio@gmail.com.
And now for our feature presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
You're listening to Straight Talk with Dean and Mark. Call in to join the conversation.
And now for our feature presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
You're listening to Straight Talk with Dean and Mark. Call in to join the conversation at 646-668-8393.
Welcome to Straight Talk with Dean and Mark. It's the six-man Dean Geronimo in the studio with Mark Lee, and we welcome you to yet another exciting episode of our show.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is the 21st of January, 2019. It's the six-man Dean Geronimo, and as always, from NJ to NC, I'm in the studio with my man Mark Lee. So, Mark, tell me what's good in your neck of the woods, brother.
Cold. It is cold as all get out here. It is cold, 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 and more cold. I don't know why it's so cold, but it is way too cold. You know, I'm glad to be in a warm building because it is freezing out there, and I know it's freezing up there too. So we just got too much freezing weather going on up and down the East Coast. So it's just cold, cold, and more cold. But I do know that people have been definitely, I know people have been out there celebrating the legacy of Dr. King. So they had a march earlier today, like a community honoring his legacy and honoring what he was all about. I know that yesterday at Duke, they had the founder or one of the creators of the Me Too movement, that she was here and she spoke, and a lot of folks are definitely getting geared up for trying to remember the activism life that Dr. King led, because we definitely need some more of this activism going on with all the craziness that is going on in our world today with the government and everything else. So they're definitely going on. A lot of people are doing speeches and things of that nature. I saw that person is currently occupying that building up there in D.C., went and popped at the monument for all of about, I think the news media said it might have been 90 seconds. I'm sitting there going like, wait a minute. First you honor the champions of football, I believe it was, with fast food burgers on the day that we were doing our show last week, and then you turn around and you stuck around for 90 seconds with this man that was a tremendous part of our legacy, a tremendous part of our history, and you're going to sit there and only give him 90 seconds of true honoring. I don't consider that honoring in any kind of way whatsoever. You just go pop up there, wave your hand, make some little comment that didn't hardly make any sense whatsoever, and then just go strolling off. I know it's cold, but look, the man was marching in all kinds of weather, in all kinds of stuff. You can do more than 90 seconds.
You can do a whole lot more, but when you don't want to do more, when your good is subpar and your best is horrible, this is the kind of stuff that you get from individuals who really are only concerned about themselves and how they look. Going to that monument wasn't for honoring the legacy. It was to say, see, I went. So unfortunately, he's not gone yet. I'll just say that.
And he's not gone yet. The man does need to be gone. I did see another candidate entered the fray today, that being Kamala Harris. Kamala, I think, has got some really good views about some of the things that are going on with corporate America and some of the other things that are going on. There's definitely put out a good activism kind of history out there. I'm like the other person I was talking about last week. I am somewhat concerned about whether she's going to have enough of the legs to actually be able to mount a campaign that's going to get the entire nation energized behind her. Because, like I said, I am very much a fan of hers, but I just don't know if she's going to have enough of the kind of legs to build the kind of coalition that will need to be built in order to win the kind of election that's going to be out there. We know it's going to be hard fought. It's probably going to be ugly because that's the way that they do things on that other side. So that's my only concern. Because when I hear some of her viewpoints, definitely about corporations, definitely about our immigration situation, and a lot of the other things that she is talking about, they definitely are in line with some of my points of view. But I'm also wondering, in the bigger picture, whether she's going to be able to have those legs to stand on. I was glad to see that Biden made some very good comments today as part of the King rally, talking about just getting the other people and other parts of the society to understand that we must acknowledge that institutional racism does exist and that it has not gone away even in 2019, almost 2020. It says Joe Biden says that white America has to admit there is still a systematic racism, and that's what was reported on ABC News earlier today. So definitely glad to see that Biden's out there as part of what he was doing for the King holiday, making some comments that made a lot of sense, because he said that white Americans need to acknowledge and admit the fact that systematic racism still exists and must be rooted out. The bottom line is we have a lot to root out, but most of all, the systematic racism that most of us whites don't like to acknowledge even exists. Biden said at an event hosted by the Reverend Al Sharpton and the National Action Network. We don't consciously acknowledge it, but it's been built into every aspect of our system. So, we see that's going on a regular basis, and Joe is not afraid to tackle these issues, just like a lot of the other candidates are. So, like I said, we've got a lot of strong candidates on the Democratic side, so it's going to be very interesting to see how things pan out and who winds up being the one that tackles that person that's currently sitting in the White House if he doesn't get out before that time. Because there's even some speculation that he might be out before that time, but I'm not that big of a fan of his right-hand man either. So if we could find a way to clean out a whole lot of them and just start anew, I'd be for that.
Well, it remains to be seen, and it's going to be interesting because with all these people running for president, certain things I want to see how they stand on things like prison reform. And you got a whole lot of people, thanks to the Innocence Project, that are working to bring brothers and sisters home, men and women home, who have spent years incarcerated for things that they did not do. Low-level offenders, what are we going to do with them? Sticking them in the jails and prisons really doesn't do too much but teach a man or woman how to be a better criminal. So, I want to see where they stand on issues like that. Issues as far as we waste a lot of money on things that don't really matter. But what we're going to do with health care, what are we going to do with education, how are you going to treat your homeless, your veterans? I want to see where you're going to go with those things. Don't tell me about, we're going to cut the deficit. We've been owing money for years. I'm not even interested in that part. What are you going to do with the money that you have here instead of wasting it on those special interest things? What are you going to do for the good of the American people? We've seen what a popularity contest put in the White House can do. Absolutely nothing, because it's doing absolutely nothing right now. But, they said, name recognition. one thing we did learn, all you business people, name recognition, branding your product, whether your product sucks or whether your product is the greatest. This man got to the White House with the worst product ever because of branding and name recognition. So there's a couple of lessons to be learned in there. But it will be interesting to see who actually gets a nod to run for that office because, of course, everybody's going to put in for it now, man, because you, too, can be president.
You, too, can be president. And you're right. There are a lot of issues that got to be addressed. The education needs to be addressed. Some of the things going on in our transportation system need to be addressed. Housing definitely has to be addressed. I mean, right here in Durham, we're seeing apartments going up in rates on a regular basis. And I know that that's happening in other cities throughout the country. And so a lot of people are deciding that they might want to try to buy a house because in some cases the mortgage might be cheaper than the rent at the apartment. But these are all issues in terms of whether you can afford either a house or an apartment. So there's some folks out there that if you do that little formula that they get, which is, I forget what it is, either a third or a fourth of your income, they might not be able to buy anything because their income is not all that great. I mean, we got government workers that are sitting out here in what they're calling a partial shutdown, and who knows how they're going to get to their next rent payment or mortgage payment or whatever their housing payment is. But there's definitely some folks that are going to be in some serious situations. So it's going to be really interesting. I think, did I hear a doorbell?
Oh, you heard. Actually, you heard two.
Good. Well, I'm expecting doorbells. I like doorbells. So let's see who's at the door.
Okay. Well, we're gonna take it and see who is at our door. 1 second.
Are you enjoying the smoothest conversation in podcasting? Straight Talk with Dean and Mark. Hi, this is DJ Smooth Jazz, syndicated radio host and co-owner of Portfolio Group LLC, your smooth jazz lifestyle and entertainment group with offices in Durham, North Carolina. Portfolio Group LLC specializes in promoting the lifestyle of smooth jazz listeners with the promotion of smooth jazz events and the distribution of African American owned wines. For more information, portfoliogroupllc.com, or you can swing by my secondary site, djsmoothjazz.com. Now back to Straight Talk with Dean and Mark.
All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to bring one in, and then we're going to bring the second person in so that we can find out who is actually with us tonight. All right?
Sounds good.
Welcome to Straight Talk with Dave and Mark. You are on the line. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with tonight?
Okay, this is Phil Wiggins calling.
Hey, Phil Wiggins, I am so glad you called in. We were expecting you to call in, and definitely glad that you were able to do this. And by the way, Phil is up there in D.C. Phil is a master blues musician because I first heard of Phil way back in the day when my folks had a radio station in Warren County because he was part of a historical group called Cephas and Wiggins, which does a lot of the Piedmont sound and definitely is a rich part of the whole tradition of the various styles of blues that exist. And I understand he's written a book. He's living in the Madhouse right now. But apparently there's a blues scene in the Madhouse as well, which we're glad to know about it. There's a blues scene in the Madhouse because he's living in Washington, D.C., providing some blues. I think that they got enough blues in the Congress and everything, but he's giving them the real blues. So, Phil, tell us a little bit about what's going on with your music career. Like I said, I did mention that you used to play with Cephas and Wiggins back in the day, and now you've got this house party that you've got going on. And I believe y'all have a show coming up in Raleigh this weekend. So, you want to just share with our listeners a little bit about your history, and definitely want to have a little conversation. I also want to find out who else is on the line, but definitely just want to hear a little bit of that at the beginning. If you'll just share with us a little bit of your history, and then stay on the line, please.
Okay, then. So let's see. You mentioned my partner, John Cephas. I was in a duo with John Cephas and Wiggins for over 30 years, really. We played together. We had the good fortune of traveling all over the world together. His home was down in Virginia, down a little town Bowling Green between Richmond and Fredericksburg. And we were known for playing the Piedmont style blues, which Raleigh and Durham is pretty much like the heart of the Piedmont style. And when you talk about the Piedmont style, it's a style of blues that is defined by the technique used on the guitar of picking out a